Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's session, Amplifying Program Impact with Social Emotional Learning. We are so excited to be today's keynote speaker at the Lead, Innovate, Collaborate conference. We are grateful that you're here with us today, and we can't wait to show you our presentation. My name is Violet Way, and I am the Director of Curriculum Development and Outcomes here at the Boys and Girls Club of Malibu. I am a Boys and Girls Club alumni, so being a part of the professional team and overseeing the curriculum development and implementation of programs that helped shape me into the person I am today means so much to me and makes me all the more excited to be here today.
And my name is Maria Vogel. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm the Director of Mental Health Education at the Boys and Girls Club Wellness Center. And part of my job is giving these types of presentations to teachers, staff, and parents to help them understand how mental health can be incorporated into curriculum. So I'm really excited to share this presentation with you as well, and let's get started. I want to define a few terms before we really get rolling. What is S.E.L. and emotional intelligence? S.E.L, social emotional learning. These are the programs, lessons, and tools that promote social skills and emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is the ability to name, understand, regulate, and express your own emotions, and also manage both your emotions and understand the emotions of the people around you through social awareness and empathy. And today we're going to be talking about some social emotional learning and emotional intelligence tools known as Ruler. And Ruler is an evidence-based approach to social emotional learning that was developed at the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. So Yale University is a big university here in the United States, and they have an entire center dedicated to this topic. And the Ruler tools support communities in understanding the value of emotions, building skills of emotional intelligence, and creating and maintaining positive emotional climates. And Ruler is actually an acronym for 5 types of emotional intelligence skills. The first is recognizing emotion in oneself and others. So that first sign that you're getting emotional or upset, recognizing that that's happening to you. Understanding the causes and consequences of emotions. Why am I getting upset? Labeling the emotion with nuanced vocabulary. So understanding the difference between sadness and actual like depression or feeling a little bit irritated versus feeling very angry. Expressing emotions in accordance with cultural norms and social context, and regulating emotions with helpful strategies. And why does this matter? Why should we care about emotional intelligence, and why should we use social emotional learning tools? It's because emotions are very important. They influence our personal and professional lives throughout each day. They guide our thoughts and our interactions with other people. And the 4 main areas of our lives that are affected by emotion are attention, memory, and learning. So this one's really important because if children are emotionally upset, if they are anxious, if they are angry, they are not learning in school. It's just not happening. The learning part of the brain isn't even online. It affects our decision-making. It's very hard to make a good choice when we're really angry or upset. It impacts our relationship quality, and it impacts our mental and physical health. So emotions really are kind of like the guiding light throughout our day, and it's important to understand them. So knowing now that emotions matter actually quite a bit, and they're very important, how can we help children learn to cultivate and regulate their different emotions? We really want to create a culture in the clubhouse of being like an emotions scientist, trying to understand and figure out what's going on, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling, and how can I help myself feel better? And we do this by using curiosity and non-judgment. And all feelings are allowed. It is okay to feel happy, angry, sad, etc. The clubhouse is really like a second home for so many kids. So we really want to create an environment where all feelings can be allowed. And we're going to talk about the difference between expressing feelings in a healthy way and acting them out, because we often want to stop children from acting out their feelings, but we don't want to stop them from being able to express their feelings, and I'll define the difference. But these Ruler tools that we're going to go over are building a charter, using the mood meter to understand emotions, and taking a meta moment. So tool number one is the charter. And we're going to go in more depth about what a charter is, but these are some just simple examples of sort of what they look like. But really, it's like a goal chart that we all create together.
Yeah, so what is a charter? A charter is our goal chart of how we want to feel at the clubhouse and concrete examples of how we're going to achieve that. There are 4 characteristics of a charter: how we currently feel, how we want to feel, action steps on how to achieve the feeling we want, and action steps on how to check in about the charter and uphold it. Maria and I want to make it clear that it's very valuable to create a charter with your professional staff because it ensures everyone is working together to create a positive work environment. However, it is equally important to co-create a charter with your members. This will help establish clear expectations, goals, and cultivate a positive club culture. When you're addressing these questions with your team, you should encourage them to be honest about how they feel. Some people may be hesitant because they may currently be experiencing unpleasant feelings. However, creating a space where everyone feels comfortable to share their true feelings will help ensure your charter is successful.
So speaking of those unpleasant feelings, this is a word cloud that is from the ruler training. So Yale University did this program, the ruler program, in many, many schools, thousands of schools across the United States for over 10 years. And these words were the top words that teachers felt throughout the day at school. So they were asked, how do we currently feel day to day at school? And the top 3 feelings, as you can see, are overwhelmed, frustrated, and stressed. There are some others in there that are positive, like proud and happy and hopeful. However, most of the time, most teachers and principals felt overwhelmed, frustrated, and stressed. I'm sure nobody really wants to feel overwhelmed, frustrated, and stressed throughout their day, every day, as the top 3 feelings, but this was the current state of how teachers were feeling. So it's really important to ask your staff and also the kids separately, how do we feel at the clubhouse every day? Because we really want to get a real snapshot of how everybody is feeling and where emotions are at, if they're pleasant or unpleasant throughout the day, so that we can know and we can do something to try to fix it. And then we move into, okay, so this is how we're currently feeling. If we're currently feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and stressed, how do we actually want to feel every day at work? Well, these words are some that Violet and I created. How do we want to feel at the clubhouse? We want to feel relaxed, inspired, supported, impactful, like we're having fun, happy, dedicated, and excited.
So the action steps that we created in order to feel happy, relaxed, inspired, and having fun are: we will always be kind to and respect others. We will share. We will express gratitude and be generous. We will include others, and we will ask for help and support when needed. How do we keep the charter alive? The charter is not a one-time exercise. The charter should grow with the goals of your organization and the needs of your staff and members. We need to tend to the charter to make sure it's accurately depicting our current goals. In order to do so, we need to make updates and amendments to the original charter. To ensure you're staying on track, schedule reoccurring times to check in to see how everyone is feeling at your clubhouse. For example, you may decide to meet monthly or maybe even weekly. You will also want to express frequent gratitude when your staff or members exhibit behaviors and feelings that are in alignment with the charter. You can do this through verbal praise, as well as providing rewards and incentives. This may look like taking special trips, ice cream or pizza parties, and gift cards.
The second tool that we're going to go over is called the mood meter. And the mood meter is really a tool that helps us label feelings with nuance, so that understanding the difference between being enraged and being a little bit irritated, or feeling sad versus feeling totally defeated. And it's very important for us to be able to recognize, understand, and label how we are feeling before we are able to express and regulate our feelings, to calm ourselves down. It's very hard to do the expressing in a healthy way and also calming ourselves down if we're not able to recognize that we're upset and understand why we're feeling that way, or label our feeling. So we plot ourselves on the mood meter to practice that recognizing, understanding, and labeling. And we can ask ourselves the following questions. How pleasant or energetic do I feel? Where am I at on the mood meter? Understanding what's causing me to feel this way, like what upset me, what triggered me, and then labeling what word best describes my feeling. So this is the mood meter. And I know looking at it at first, sometimes people can say, that's a lot, right? That's a lot to remember. But I promise you, it's actually a lot simpler than you think. And kids and teens pick it up like that. So the idea here is that feelings are not good or bad, but they can feel pleasant or unpleasant or comfortable or uncomfortable in our body. And they can feel high energy or low energy. So the top of the mood meter is high energy and the bottom is low energy. And on the right side, we have comfortable and pleasant feelings. And on the left, we have uncomfortable or unpleasant feelings. So an example of a high energy feeling that is unpleasant would be something like furious, enraged, or even panic, very anxious. Something that would be high energy but pleasant would be ecstatic, excited, joyful. Something that would be low energy, unpleasant might be hopeless or disappointed or lonely. And something that would be low energy that feels pleasant would be serene or content, calm, grateful. So I think we all know the difference between when something feels very energetic in our body versus when we feel just sort of at peace and low energy. And it's really helpful to think of it in this way, because then you're really noticing where am I at on the mood meter? And it's very helpful too. This is why we ask, how do we currently feel throughout the day? Because it helps us track what quadrant of the mood meter are we spending most of our time in throughout the day, both the staff and the kids. What quadrants are the most activated in our clubhouse? Are we mostly in the red or are we mostly in the green? And I really want to define the difference between expressing emotions in a healthy way and acting out. So expression is the healthy communication of a feeling, usually through words, but sometimes for younger children, especially through art or play. So you might see little kids, making art that has like a theme to it, or playing out with their little action figures, a feeling that they may have had at some point in their life. And that is actually healthy. We want kids to express themselves because bottling emotions isn't very healthy for us. But acting out is when we embody an emotion through our behavior. And most behavioral problems that you might see in your clubhouse stem from this emotional acting out. So that's when we see kids hitting or kicking or throwing things or fighting and melting down. And the truth is that kids and teens really lack that brain development to know how to express emotions in a healthy way, and they need our help. They need us to be that emotion scientist, coaching them and modeling healthy expression. And when we do that, when we can coach children on emotional expression skills, they actually usually act out less. And the first step towards healthy expression is always being able to name the feeling.
When you're using the mood meter in the clubhouse, as Maria mentioned, it's important to understand what percentage of your time is spent in each quadrant. Knowing this promotes self-awareness and allows us to recognize, understand, and label our feelings. Or as we like to say, name it to tame it, which is the ability to label your emotions as they are happening. This is essential because we must first be able to name our emotions before we can regulate them.
The cool thing about the mood meter is that we can use it actually as an intervention to help kids identify their feelings during conflict, or if you're noticing some acting out behaviors, but you have to use that curiosity instead of judgment. So pretend like you're curious George, right? The little monkey who's very curious, right? So I like to give some examples. So Violet, what would you do if you saw two kids fighting over a game? How might you use the mood meter?
For a younger kid, I might say something like, uh-oh, where are we at on the mood meter? Can you go and point for me? For a teen, I would say something like, help me understand where you're at. Can you tell me or show me what's going on for you? You can use this as your first step to identify the feelings and then offer a calming activity or exercise such as breathing, squeezing a ball, or going for a walk. As we are learning, members are not able to reason when they are upset. They must first calm down before the behavior can be addressed. Using the mood meter provides a nice break in the back and forth for children to take the time to recognize how they're feeling and why.
So here's another example of a mood meter. And I just want you guys to know that it's okay to make it fun or silly. If kids are having fun, they're actually 4 times more likely to be learning. So learning doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun. And you can make this a fun, silly activity in the afternoon. Hey, everybody, let's make a mood meter. You can make individual ones for each person. What are your different moods? Or you can make one giant one for the clubhouse that you're going to put up on the wall somewhere and make it silly. Like, who can find the funniest picture to put in each quadrant, right? I love that silly baby, the very excited baby in the top of the yellow quadrant there. And if kids are helping you make it and it's funny and fun to them, they have buy-in. So the next time you need to use it, they're more likely to have buy-in and to go along with it because they helped create it. They helped create both the charter and mood meter for the clubhouse. So they're going to be more invested and it's more likely to work. The third tool that we're going to talk about is called the meta moment. And the meta moment is really just another word for mindfulness, being mindful. And many of us have heard that word, mindfulness, but we may not know what it actually means. Being mindful really means being intentional and also paying attention to your current state, whatever it is, with kindness. And kindness is really the magic ingredient here, kindness and curiosity instead of judgment. And this quote, I think, illustrates the point of a meta moment very well. It's from Viktor Frankl, who was a psychologist and an author. He wrote a great book called Man's Search for Meaning. And the quote is, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." And I want to break this down a little bit because I think it's important. The idea here is that it does not feel good for us as human beings. It doesn't breed confidence and self-worth to feel like we are a paper bag just blowing in the breeze. Whatever happens around us, we become almost like victim to a circumstance. Like if kids are fighting, we get very dysregulated and very upset, very anxious ourselves. That feeling is like we can't handle hard things. It feels a lot better for us as human beings to feel sturdy in ourselves and to be sturdy leaders when we can take a moment, feel that excitation in our body, maybe feel that high energy feeling sort of pop up and say, oh, I'm upset, right? This is hard to manage for me, the kids yelling. Take a deep breath and calm ourselves with some helpful strategies. And then from that calmer place, be able to decide, how do I want to respond to this moment? Do I want to have a huge reaction and start yelling? Or do I want to take a deep breath and be my best self and choose my response wisely? Because that response, that wise response, it is our growth and our freedom. It breeds self-confidence to feel like I can handle hard things and I can manage my own emotions. So taking a meta moment involves 4 steps. The first is that sensing a change in our body or our mind. So all feelings have a body sensation tied to them. So that might be something like your heart starts racing, or your muscles tense up, or your mind starts racing. You start having really quick thoughts. And if you have to notice that change in your body, that is always the first step, is to notice. My cat is saying hello this morning. This is Sugar Plum, my therapy cat.
I knew it was her as soon as your arm went off. Like,
yes, she loves to say hello, and the students love her. So she had to be a part of the presentation this morning. So noticing that change in your body or your mind is always the first step. That's the name it to tame it kind of a thing, right? Like, uh-oh, I'm upset. I can feel the change in my body. Then as soon as you notice that first sign that you're getting upset, that is your signal to pause. Time to pause and think before you just respond or react. You can visualize your best self. What would the best version of me do right now? Or you can imagine somebody that you really admire, a hero of some kind, or just somebody you look up to. And from that place, you strategize and you act. Okay, what's the best thing to do? The best thing to do might be different in any different moment, right? Sometimes maybe it is a wise choice to interject with your voice if kids are getting dangerous, but oftentimes it's better to take that meta moment and be calm before you react. And people push back on me sometimes, like, I don't have time. I don't have time to take a meta moment if kids are fighting. And I want to challenge you a little bit that actually you probably do. You probably do have 60 seconds to take a pause and just evaluate what's going on in yourself, take care of yourself in that moment with a deep breath or a helpful visualization, and then act. Now, of course, if something actually dangerous is happening, please don't take a meta moment. Please intervene with the kids if somebody has a sharp object or, somebody's actually about to do something truly dangerous. That is the time to intervene. But few things in life are actually that urgent or that much of an emergency. And when you can learn how to differentiate between like a true emergency and, okay, this is a tense moment, but I can take a deep breath, you're going to feel a lot more sturdy in your leadership. And I want to talk about breath because breath is actually an amazing tool for you to use for yourself and also to teach your club members how to use. So if you Google image search this phrase, breathe with this GIF, 1,000 little moving images just like this one will pop up. And all you have to do is breathe along with them as they expand and contract. So breathe in as it expands, breathe out as it contracts. And you have to do this for usually at least 2 minutes. You can't take 2 breaths and then say, it didn't work, it didn't calm me down. Of course it didn't. You didn't give it long enough. Usually 2 minutes is the minimum amount of time it takes to have a real effect on your body. But I want to talk about breath because breath is a physiological thing in our body that we actually have control over. So when we are emotionally upset, when something triggers an emotion in us, and maybe we are angry or we are anxious or whatever the feeling is, all of these physiological things start to happen in our body, like our heart rate increases, our blood pressure rises, hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are released. And you don't have any conscious control over any of these responses. Try controlling your blood pressure with your mind. Good luck. Not going to work so well, right? But the cool thing is you actually do have conscious control of your breath if you pay attention to it. So if you start to feel emotionally upset and you notice, uh-oh, my heart is racing. Okay, I need to start breathing. And then you start breathing along with this heart. And you do that for at least a minute, right? Maybe you don't have the full 2 minutes. I get it. But if you do that, even for just a few really deep calming breaths, what will happen is as you slow your breathing down, your heart rate will have to slow down. And then your blood pressure will have to go down. And then your body will start to feel better. And that will help you feel more confident and sturdy, right? That's that feeling of, oh, I'm not a bag getting blown around by the breeze. I am a sturdy rooted tree and I can handle this moment. And then you're going to feel so much more confident in addressing the kids in an appropriate way. And really, it's important to understand, we touched on this, but I'm going to go into more detail here, the way that the human brain works, and especially for children. The human brain has 3 parts. It has the fight or flight part. It has the emotional connection relating part. And it also has a logic and reasoning and learning part. And the problem is that our brain is not very good at doing the logic and reasoning part when we are emotionally upset. It's like that part of the brain is just completely offline. And that is why it is so hard to reason with a child who is very, very upset, or really anyone, but especially children. They also just don't have the same level of brain development that we do as adults. So this image allows you to really see those different parts of the brain in an understandable way. So if a child is very upset, if they are, crying and screaming, or they're acting out, they're kicking or throwing things, the first step has to be regulating, calming down that emotional fight or flight kind of response. Whoa, buddy, we got to slow down. Let's take some deep breaths together, right? Just in whatever skill that you're going to use, we're going to go over some others other than breathing, calming down that fight kind of response that happens for kids. And then you have to relate to them in an emotionally safe way. So this is not the time to give consequences or to explain why the behavior was unacceptable. This is a time really just to listen and relate. Wow, you were so mad. That must have been really hard, how mad you got and you lost control of your body. I understand being mad. It doesn't feel good, does it? Right? That real relational piece of validating and attuning to the feeling. And then once the child is calm and they feel emotionally connected to you, then you can reason with them. If you try to jump into the reasoning too soon, it's going to start all the way back, right? The kid's going to get dysregulated again. No, you don't understand. So you have to wait. You just have to wait that amount of time until they're calm. And then you can go into, I know you were really upset, and I know how hard it is to feel that upset and lose control of our body, but we can't hit other people. We can't throw things, right? What can we do instead? And that's when you offer other solutions and you reason with them.
During this process, it's also important to reframe negative self-talk. So imagine you are walking in the hallway at school and you trip and fall. You might say something like, "Oh, I'm such a klutz." But you can reframe this positively by thinking, "Well, that was embarrassing, but at least I didn't get hurt, and I'm sure nobody will remember this tomorrow."
So what would you do if a teen fails a math test and they come to you and they say, "Oh, I'm just not good at math. I'm just no good at math. I suck at math."
I would remind them that they can't label themselves after one poor incident. I would provide greater context by explaining that this is only one test out of the entire year. Teens are trying to define themselves and the world around them, and they can be very quick to label. Remember that they're not going to be able to reframe their negative self-talk if they're still feeling emotional or upset. This only works once they feel heard and understood and are able to name their feelings. So saying something like, "Oh, don't say that," can often make the situation worse. It's important to validate their feelings first and then explore them deeper. I would help this teen explore their emotions by explaining that "I'm not good at math" isn't a feeling. They might be feeling defeated, hopeless, frustrated, or even sad, but it's our role to help them identify those feelings so they can process them and then move on.
So the step of the meta moment, seeing your best self, it can be really helpful to ask yourself some of these questions, make it a journaling exercise maybe. What characteristics does your best self embody? And then this is a question to ask yourself in the moment when you are taking a meta moment, right? Will my behavior that I am about to do align with my personal ideals of that best self? Will it resolve or agitate the situation at hand? So if I come in yelling, am I going to help the kids learn a new skill on how to communicate? Or am I going to hurt everybody's feelings and everybody's going to feel sad and defeated, including me? So waiting to respond until you have a change in your body or your mindset. So waiting until your heart rate has slowed down a little bit, waiting until you just feel a little bit internally calmer. And from there, you strategize and act. What is the best way to handle this situation? And what would the best version of myself do?
When you're implementing the meta moment in the clubhouse, it's important to take the time to envision your best self that is specific to the situation. Sometimes it's good to be gentle and patient, and sometimes it's good to act quickly and be direct. Also remember that everybody's best self looks different. My best self looks different than Maria's best self, and that is okay. It may be helpful to visualize someone you admire and think about how they may handle the situation. It can often be hard to get out of your own head and imagine how you should handle the situation. So visualizing someone else doing it that you admire can provide a better context.
So some other self-regulation ideas to use. But I really want you to take all of these ideas and kind of make them your own. And also don't be afraid to use playfulness. What we're going for here is cooperation and connection, not compliance. And I know that that can be really hard not to go to as an adult sometimes. We want children to listen and be obedient, and I get that. But the thing is, if you turn this into a compliance thing, like you're going to do this breathing technique, it's no longer actually calming. It becomes a power struggle. And I think we've all probably been in the situation where we're like, "Okay, buddy, we need to calm down. Let's do a breathing technique or whatever." And the kid says, "No, I won't do it." Right? I hear that all the time. "I won't do the breathing technique." Okay, I'm not going to force a kid to do a breathing technique because that's not going to calm anybody down. But what you can do is you can become playful, and the playfulness will usually invite some cooperation. And it's really important to understand Conflict is inevitable. It's how we manage it that's important. Avoiding conflict really just makes it worse down the line. And it's usually best if we are able to manage it in the moment, or it's okay to take a break. And it's very wise to know when is the right time to take a break, but it's important to bring the kids back. Because if you just take a break and you never have them come back and talk about it again, it's probably just going to reoccur, and it may even get worse down the road. And so many of us are afraid of conflict, or we see it as this negative thing, but conflict can actually remind us of personal boundaries. It can strengthen our communication. It can bring us closer together. So we don't have to be afraid of conflict. We just have to learn helpful conflict management strategies.
So conflict is inevitable. In the clubhouse, we work with kids and it's going to happen. It's how we deal with it that's important. So this is a great time to be that emotion scientist. I think most of us have learned by now that telling a kid what to do when they're upset, like calm down and go apologize, doesn't work too well. You can be a motion scientist by asking the following questions to your members. You will still get the same goal of having the kid calm down and render the situation. However, you are helping the member come to this conclusion on their own. You can also ask questions that directly relate to the charter by asking, is this in alignment with the charter? Is this making us feel happy, supported, and having fun? What can we do next time that is in alignment?
And it's really important to implement these tools in real time. So like Violet said, really using the charter when conflict is happening. Hey, are we behaving in alignment with the charter? Because if the kids help create that charter, then again, they have buy-in, they are invested, they helped create it. So they're invested in making their behaviors align with it. So empathy is really this cornerstone of so much conflict management. And trying to understand where the other person is coming from and how they feel, attuning to that feeling and being an emotions scientist. So you don't have to agree with somebody's experience to validate it. I don't have to condone behavior. I don't have to say, oh, it's okay that you hit another kid, or it's okay that you threw the toy. No, I'm not going to say it's okay when something isn't okay, but I can express understanding and empathy of how upsetting it is when things don't go our way. And really, when we express that empathy towards children, we also foster that quality in them. Sometimes people are afraid that if we empathize with children's poor behavior, that we are fostering like selfishness or something. But actually, you are modeling what empathy looks like so that they will be better able to empathize with other children. And you want to help foster that by asking some questions like, okay, you were feeling angry when the other person took your toy. How do you think that they were feeling? Right? So you're really helping them make those connections of I have feelings and the other person has feelings too. And it's really important to understand that these skills, these emotional intelligence skills, are learned and they get stronger with practice. So be patient with yourself and with others. I kind of think of this as like learning to speak a new language, or maybe even learning to play an instrument. So the first time that you pick up the guitar, you are not going to play a rock concert. You are going to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star badly. So it's okay to make mistakes. Just admit them, apologize and repair and move on and take accountability for your parts. So if I came into a situation and I was too aggressive, I started yelling, or I was just too harsh, I might come back to those kids and say, you know what, looking back, that was too much, wasn't it? That was a little bit scary when I came in here kind of angry. I'm going to work on taking a meta moment before I respond to you, because that part wasn't fair from me, right? That part was mine. So when you can apologize and repair with kids, you're modeling that accountability and you are practicing using the tools yourself.
So our goals for you is that we hope that you create a charter at your clubhouse for your faculty and staff, as well as co-create a charter with your members. We hope that you are able to integrate social emotional learning and emotional intelligence tools such as the charter and the mood meter into your programs. We hope that you practice taking a meta moment for yourself and with the kids, and we cannot wait for you to implement these tools in real time. Here is our contact information if you have any questions about what we went over today, or if you want to reach out about a situation that's occurring in your clubhouse. We also have some additional resources if you'd like a little bit more information on the topics we went over today. We are very excited to see you during our interactive portion. Thank you.